Gucci used to be that it brand. She was that girl.
I could have my Gucci on. Where the Gucci back row? Gucci, 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 please.
Gucci, please. Gucci was in songs. Celebrities wore them. Even on luxury YouTube, I remember how the Gucci Marmont bag took the world by a chokehold.
Going to be a first impressions on my Gucci Marmont bag.
About Marmont bags.
The Gucci Marmont flat bag.
In 2018 alone, Gucci's revenue rose 44%. And mind you, this was prior to the COVID luxury boom, where it seemed that every single luxury brand was doing incredibly well. They really made it when Gucci became synonymous with I'm good, it's great. There was so many positive associations with this brand.
Gucci is that brand that makes people think they want to live larger than life and be sexy and be adventurous and be unconventional.
Yet somewhere along the way, Gucci seemed to falter. Last quarter alone, Gucci's revenues dropped over 20%. The anticipation for its new creative director really was met with a lot of disappointment. The day after Demna was announced, Kering Group's stock price dropped 12%. And so there's a lot of lost confidence in this brand. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Alice, and I used to really love Gucci too. When I was 17, my dad actually bought me my first luxury wallet for my birthday, and it was from Gucci. But I think the real question is, can Gucci be saved? How did such an amazing brand that seemed to be everywhere and had it all, the Marmont bag, the Neonesis bag, and then the Jackie bag, it was one hit after the other. How did it end up at this point? Well, first things first, revenue growth doesn't always stay that way. It's impossible to expect a brand to just keep growing and growing and building momentum. But I think there are a few key issues where Gucci has probably faltered. I think one of its biggest failings was to reposition this high luxury brand into a high street brand. And I think they started to do this when they really leaned into their flashy logos and all their partnerships. So they did partnerships with Adidas, with Disney, and suddenly somehow all of these partnerships, one after the other, slowly started to cheapen the brand, started to position the brand into a little bit more high street. Now, this isn't to say that partnerships are bad. There are very successful partnerships out there, like the Murakami collection with Louis Vuitton and the Studio Ghibli collection in Loewe. Yet the choices that Gucci had made with perhaps like Adidas or Disney really sort of cheapened the brand. One, because a lot of these brands seem to be streetwear. They're cheaper. You can get an Adidas shoe for like $60. Disney is really nice and it does pull in that nostalgia, but Disney has also done collaborations with Kate Spade and Coach. So I think the choices of partnerships that they've made have really made them lose a lot of that sense of prestige and value. And a lot of the partnerships also failed and ended up in outlets. And outlets itself was a problematic part of Gucci's strategy, where perhaps they had way too much inventory and they ended up selling a lot of things at a discount. They pushed way too much inventory to the point that bags like the Marmont that could have been, their new Jackie ended up being on discount at the outlet. And I think that is really problematic. You would never see perhaps in the Dior store their Lady Dior being on sale. All these things that came together made Gucci seem to be a little bit more like Supreme than you would say a Louis Vuitton. And so what can be done, right? Like, they've alienated a huge customer base. They've sort of cheapened a little bit of their brand reputation. What has Gucci done? So Gucci is really playing this protective strategy at this point. People might not know this, but they used to have a huge real estate portfolio. They used to own malls. They even owned the headquarters of Boucheron, which was recently renovated, and they sold off that building as well. And so they are really trying to sell off a lot of their things that they feel are not central to what they are known for, which is really a luxury fashion house. They have also tried to maintain dividends within their stock so that they don't lose customer confidence or shareholder confidence, to try to retain some of that value so that they can, raise more money, raise more capital, or get more debt. They've also tried to cut down on wholesale, so that is also, I think, a good sign. They have lost 50% in revenue to wholesale last quarter, but I do think that that's in line with cutting out inventory and reducing the number of sale items. And so I thought, okay, maybe there was some hope. And then in comes Demna, and I was really shocked. I think everyone knows that this was a very risky bet. Perhaps not within the Kering group, but everywhere else, people knew that, Marie Gretzi interviewed for the role, A.W. Anderson interviewed for the role, and they've been known to turn around brands and do really good in sales, and yet somehow they chose him. I just don't see how this guy, who's full of controversy, has very postmodern style, is really going to turn the brand around when Gucci's strategy for high street really lost its way when the trends of quiet luxury came in. People just didn't want their flashy logos anymore. And to have someone like Demna come in, it doesn't bring a lot of confidence that they can really lean into the new trends that are coming and recover the sense of Italian heritage that Gucci used to have. So what does Demna need to do to be able to get Gucci back on its feet? Demna needs to probably find a new, fresh, quiet luxury silhouette. So the Business of Fashion starts releasing this article saying that brands that do really well today are ones that have unique silhouettes. And I agree with this, because there was this one Jackie bag where they had all these crystals where I was like, that is a bag that I would actually buy. And so I think having unique silhouettes or just fresh, beautiful style is really what Gucci has to work on. We see a lot of brands that are copying one another. Everyone seems to have some sort of Birkin version, and I think that is not the right play here. I think if Gucci can really lean into its archives and find something that is really unique to the brand and yet still screams, quiet luxury, that will be a winning new Marmont. The next thing that I think Demna needs to do is find things that are $2,000 and under. Their target audience that perhaps is still within their brand tends to be a little bit younger. And so if they can get something like cute bag charms, which I know Cassie Thorpe has mentioned, or just like smaller entry-level pochette looking bags, I think that is one of the ways in which you can get a lot more revenue. Now, I do think Kering Group needs to start figuring out how they can reposition themselves a little bit as just a luxury provider. So unlike LVMH, where we've talked about in previous videos, where they have makeup, they have cafes, they own wine, they have experiences, hotels, Kering Group isn't that. They really are very much a fashion luxury provider. But I do think Gucci has a lot of potential to go into the cafe space. Cafes have been doing really well, whether it's like Ralph Lauren, Prada, Louis Vuitton, and I think Gucci actually has a shot in this space, and it's because they are known to be maximalists. I would love to go to that cafe because I really do want to experience like a gothic kind of cafe with true Italian coffee. I think it would do really, really well. Lots of velvet walls, beautiful wallpaper, like velvet chairs, just like very maximalist kinds of architecture. And then partner with a very well-renowned Italian coffee house. So I think it can be done really well and executed in a way where it stays true to the brand. And the last thing I think they need to do, which I've mentioned before, is to just cut out partnerships and really focus on what they can bring. Right now, it seems like they're playing on the defensive. And so really trying to gatekeep what goes into that brand is going to be really, really important. I know they've also tried to partner with different kinds of celebrities now. I know Lee Jung-jae, the main actor of Squid Game, is now a Gucci ambassador. So they're truly trying to open up their market and open up who they want their customer to be. But I do think they really need to be very careful and gatekeep their brand, because at this point, they're playing on the defensive. They don't have much to liquidate, but I'd really love to hear your thoughts. What do you think Gucci needs to do, and do you think Gucci can be saved? Did you used to love Gucci? Have you never really liked the brand? Do you think it's going to be able to recover? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. If you like this video, I hope you give it a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!